Well, welcome to our Sea Haven Zoom meetup. Here we are. We're the second week of May, I guess. I guess this is really the first full week, but how's everybody doing with your Sea Haven journeys?
Slow but sure.
Well, but sure. Where are you at with yours right now, Gwen?
Just about to finish the yolk. So
Excellent.
getting there.
Getting there indeed. Yeah. And I am, oh, I should tell I can tell you my report. I finished
Oh,
I
nice.
did my one sleeve. Now I've got my body, and now I'm on my second sleeve. And I chose to do um the rib garter combo just because I like that. I did not do that on the sleeve. I did regular ribbing sleeve. But I really like the look of the garter rib combo. I think that's a nice finish. I'm a person that does not ever want a cinched in waist on a sweater, which I don't think the knit through the back loop ribbing would give that either, but it probably would suck in a little bit more. I don't know. But I went with this option and I like it.
Nice.
I can check in for a minute.
Yay. How are you doing, Shannon?
I'm doing good. My yolk is currently being blocked, but I worked the whole yolk on 16-inch needles, circular needles, so the whole
Wow.
thing went on there. But that ended up being a problem, and I didn't realize it. So I was blocking my yolk, and I had a mistake. So I dropped a stitch in the second pennant, like the row 5, I think, of the pennant. So I've got, and all the rest of it that's on there, but it's a drop stitch. And I had counted, and so when I didn't see it I couldn't see it on the small
Hmm.
16-inch length needles. And so as I went around and was counting, and I counted several times, I must have not added on a stitch at some point. And so I added in another stitch to bring it up to the right number. And now I think I have to frog. And it's already blocked. It's blocking. And so I don't know. I guess I'm looking for anybody's helpful tips in this situation, because I went, oh, there's kind of a gap there, and then I looked at it and I thought, oh, and I went, that's where I messed up. And then as I was fiddling with it, I went, oh, I dropped a stitch.
How I guess my first question is there any way to, when as you look at it, I can't see it necessarily, but how visible is it? Could it be less, like if you were to say take some extra yarn at the end and kind of close
Yeah.
up the little gap? In terms of the overall look or the location, if it's right in the front of your sweater, that probably would really.
Directly in front. Like, of
Oh,
course,
dang.
right here in the bottom. And at first I thought that's what I would do, but since I actually dropped it, like it needs to be, I have to weave it back in somehow. And I'm not that experienced of a knitter. This kind of thing is like, oh yeah, okay. So my only thing is, like, I think I should just frog back, because I think if I right in front, that I just make a mess of it if I.
Went in to like close it up from the back or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, because it's so pretty. And
It's so pretty.
yeah, it is a really pretty, and it's a really fun pattern for me to do. It's the first kind of pattern I've done that's a real pattern, and it makes sense to me.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
But so I wonder, is it would you say that I should just go ahead and, like, if I don't mind ripping it back and starting it, but just kind of the whole getting the needles back on again, and it's probably, since it's been blocked, it'll probably hold the holes enough to kind of go back in.
So this sweater particularly lends itself well, I think, to putting a lifeline in, because you have those very, very clear and demarcated spaces. You know, it's pretty easy to see visually. If you were gonna want to maybe pick up in a garter stitch row, so you could like feel, you know, catching all of the smiles or all of the frowns all the way around. That might be an option. And you can
The garter stitch row, you reckon, is going to be the best, and start this pin it over again, probably.
I think for me, it's very easy to pick up on a nice even garter row. But that's not to say that you couldn't pick it back just before you do it, get into it with the pennant. But I think that, I mean, I also, what's the yarn you're using again?
I'm using Off the Round, the DK. On the round?
On the round. Nice. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a super wash. So maybe just it's not quite as grippy as some other yarns, but it's also not as slippery as cotton in terms of as you pick it up. And I always just like to grab a needle that's way smaller than my needle I'm using to make it easy to.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any tips for picking up or going back using a lifeline? They're good. No more tips.
Okay. All right. Well, I won't take up a lot of time with that, but I just wanted to share that I was so happy to be through with my yoke, and like, oh well, I don't mind. I don't mind doing it. It'll be the first time I've and also just one last question around this is just that because I've blocked it, is there anything special is there anything different I should do about that, knitting it? I mean, I could just go ahead and knit it the same. I mean,
yes. Like if you had, I mean, because this is a relatively recent knit, so it's not like you knit it and it's been months and that yarn has had all that chance to really like cement itself in its little squiggles. And so when you take it out, I would imagine that, you know, don't wind it too tight as you're taking it out, kind of loose ball. And it should be fine to be relaxed again because it hasn't been sitting there for too long. That being said, if you start knitting with it and you're kind of like, these stitches are a little like, it's a little, I think you would be able to see or feel if the yarn has too much memory from being knitted up before. I mean, I would doubt that with this time frame that would be the case. But if you did feel that, I would say the option is always to like reskein it and then get it wet and then hang it with a little bit. But I don't think all of that would be necessary in this situation.
Yeah. Well, thank you for those helpful tips. I appreciate it.
Well, good luck, and frogging isn't failure, as the sticker says.
No, next week I'll be back online. Yeah, thank you.
Sometimes it's like, it just mentally, it kind of helps me if I have a lot of frogging to do. It helps to either have some good company, possibly, you know, with a nice beverage in hand to make that go by faster. Maybe a favorite show or something like that. Just
And the lifeline is something you're talking about. Like I get a lifeline, but not just a piece of thread, but an actual like you guys sell lifelines at Cashmere Goat, right?
You absolutely can use a barber cord or the goat cord that we sell. It makes it pretty easy, you know, as you're sort of threading it through to come around, and then getting it back on your needle that way. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But of course, before we had these fancy little tubes, we used just smooth waste yarn for years and years. So that also works.
How's everybody else doing?
Hey, Mary Ellen, fill us in. Yes, fill in the group on what's been going on.
Well, it seems that I'm an in-between size. I'm in between a 2 and a 3. So I started making a 3 because I don't want it too tight. And it just seems like there were too many stitches on there when I tried it on. So Erie suggested that I could adjust the stitches like for size like 2.5 or something like that. Anyway, but then the short rows would need to be adjusted, and I just decided that was too much. I was just gonna, so I went down a needle size, and I just finished the short rows. So I had it on the barber cord. I tried it on. It's a little big. And then I just decided it's just going to be a roomy sweater. You know, just like a casual sweater that doesn't have to be fitted. So we'll see how it comes out. I'm just like dealing with it as it comes up. And I know there might be problems when I come to the sleeves. And I'm taking it off the barber cord now. And you know how it comes undone sometimes? It just did that.
Oh no.
Not
Oh.
too many stitches, but now I have to fix that. So that's where I am. But you know, I was doing it in size 6, so now I'm on a size 5. The size 5 needle seems so small compared to the 6.
Hmm.
I don't know why, but it just does. So it's an experiment. We'll see what happens. And on the Shannon's problem, I mean, I wouldn't frog it. I would fix it in the back. I mean, that's just what I do. But I've been knitting and sewing. And if you know someone who can do it for you, you kind of just pull it through the back. And then you can, you know, with the yarn, you can kind of weave it in.
Well, I like the idea of getting somebody to do it for me. I'll look for that.
Shannon, do you
definitely.
do you have a knitting store nearby that maybe could give a hand? Or
I just found out a friend of mine knows a knitter, and so yes, so I think I can probably make that happen maybe pretty quickly. Actually, I hadn't thought of asking somebody to do it. Help is on the way. Yes. So
well,
yeah.
because also like Mary Ellen is saying, and kind of when I was first asking about it, like you can definitely a lot of times fudge it. You know, you said it's like right in the middle, but if it's truly just like a matter of like trying to make it look good enough so that it's not going to totally bug you,
Yeah.
and it looks, you know, because whether it's a knit or a garter stitch bump or whatever, trying to like follow that stitch pattern and almost maybe like duplicate stitch.
Yeah,
There's tons of
it
videos
works.
on, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, so that is a first bus stop, you know, and if you really like still can't live with it, because there's some people who just cannot live with a mistake. They want it to be what it is, and that is a certain type of person. And then there's the certain type of person who is okay with a little fudge here or there, you know. And so if you didn't like how it looked after kind of maybe fiddling with it a little bit, you could always still frog it, you know, and maybe just pause for now and try that first
Yeah,
option.
that's a great idea. Thank you both for that. I love that idea.
Thanks for that, Mary Ellen. And I'm sorry that you're kind of in the weeds right now. Anybody else have a Sea Haven report that you want to share? Yes. Hi, Teresa. How are you?
Finished.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
Here it is.
What?
Oh, that's
Let me see.
the
Let me see. Oh,
oh wow, yes.
And I did something different on
oh,
the
wow.
on the cuff. I don't know if you can see
Okay.
it. I took the
Yep.
same thing that she did down here
Mm,
and I made a shorter version of it up here. Because I didn't care for the rib idea.
Mhm.
So
that looks beautiful. And I think she said somewhere that maybe some folks had decided to do that on a cuff. I feel like somebody else I had seen either in the pattern or on the Ravelry page, but that looks so pretty. And that's the
That's
Tilly, right?
gorgeous.
chili. Yep. Yep. Just
Love
fresh
it.
blocked. I blocked it yesterday. Nice and dry, so I don't feel like it's all, you know.
The fit is really excellent. I want to compliment you on the fit. The fit looks really good.
I did the shaping that she suggested.
Mm-hmm.
And then what ended up happening is I did like an extra 1 or 2 because she said you could do that too. It's a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be, but I'm good with that. I'm okay with that. So I'd rather be long than too short.
Absolutely. Did you feel like it grew at all blocking wise,
No.
or just it was a little longer?
No, I think more than anything, it's sort of just made it softer, believe it or not. Yeah, it's softer. What I did have a problem with this was there was blue in the water. There was blue. I rinsed it twice. The first time, quite a bit. I rinsed it the second time. There was some. And then I put it in the wash and I added some vinegar just to be on the safe side. I mean, I didn't wash it. I put it in a rinse. Added some vinegar just to kind of set it. And then took it off. And then I had put it in a sweater, hosiery bag inside the wash, and that didn't turn blue. So it was kind of, I wasn't expecting it to be that blue when it happened. So I know their hand is hand dyed, I think it says. So I don't know, thing on the tag somewhere or somewhere on their website. I think they said it was hand dyed. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Good tip though. And maybe I'll include the vinegar tip in case anybody sees that going on in their blocking water.
Yeah. But I enjoyed making it. Fun.
All right, we'll send along a glamour shot of yourself when you
yes, I have to do that. Yep. Yeah, I'll get that to you.
Awesome. Anybody else have a Sea Haven tip? Like Susan, maybe?
Yeah. Oh, it's totally not a tip. It's a question.
Or question. Yeah.
I have no tips to give. Maybe one day. Has anyone made it without the wide neck version of the Sea Haven? Has anyone done that?
Like with the ribbing or without the ribbing?
Without the ribbing.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I decided to not do the ribbing. And now I'm thinking I might go back and add the ribbing, but I'm going to wait till I'm finished, I think, before I decide. But because I'm doing like a full sweater and I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, I think I might like the neck without the ribbing. So, but
I mean, you live in a warmer climate, so I don't think that's a bad way of thinking. And the ones that I've seen without the collar have a really nice look that, it's just a little bit of a rolled edge. And I think that is a great look. And the great part is you can totally decide at the end, just like you were saying.
Well, with that being said, can I ask this question? So I'm on page 7 where it says recommencing yoke. And actually, I did not block it. I'm only 1 row in. Do I have to block it?
I didn't.
Okay, because I'm like, it's not going to change anything I do with this sweater at this point. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it didn't.
She says optional in the thing, right? It says optional.
And yes, and I picked up on that.
I didn't want to do it, so I didn't take the time to block mine.
Okay, so my real question is, so recommencing the yoke. So you work sagging stitch until it measures. For me, it's going to be 8 inches from cast on edge for tee, or from bottom edge of neck for sweater, not cast on edge. But for me, I've got to treat it like a tee, right? And measure from the cast on edge, right? Do y'all see what I'm saying?
Yes. Yep. You're right.
Because where else would I measure from? Okay.
Exactly. You've got it. And the one thing I would say is, depending on, like, I would recommend with your yoke that you try it on, because I felt like for my preferred fit, the armholes were a little low for me personally. So I didn't go quite as long as the pattern said for me.
Okay. Good idea. Thank you. All right. moving right along.
Yay, looking good over there.
Oh, there it is. We'll see.
Are you loving the yarn?
Yeah, I like the yarn a lot. I actually considered making it a short sleeve sweater, but because it's a DK wool, this is wool, right? 100% wool, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's still gonna be pretty warm to wear. So I know you just need to make it a long sleeve sweater so that you can wear it in the winter on the 5 days of cold weather we get, or in Maine if I go to Maine. Well, not if I go to Maine, when I go to Maine.
Well,
in
or
the
if you're
summer
in aggressively air conditioned, you know, I know that's
Yes.
very. Mhm.
True that. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, you're making great progress. Good for you.
Thanks. Trying.
Anybody else want to? Oh, I actually brought a little tiny show and tell. I don't know if we've talked about this on a Zoom in one of our KALs before, but I have a really awesome massage therapist. I get to go to her not too often, but for a treat. And one time she said, "Oh, you're a knitter and you work with your hands a lot. I've got something I want to give you." And she ran out of the room and she came back with, you know, like the kind of thing you get in the grocery store in the like gumball machine things, or maybe you see them in the grocery store in those little packs that they add in the aisle, like kind of like a ball that you'd use for jacks or something. And she said, "This is my favorite thing to recommend to clients that do a lot with their hands. It's like, you know, the tennis ball that we'd use on our back or whatever, but you just give your little hands a massage with this tiny little ball that costs you maybe a quarter or something." And so sometimes when my hands are sore at the end of the night, like I'll just take my little ball and give myself a hand massage. So that's just a little tiny tip about taking care of your hands.
I like that.
It feels really good. Sometimes I'll even do it like on my forearm a little bit, you know, just those places where it gets a little sore if you've been knitting too long.
I did that yesterday. I was home waiting for the air conditioning service people to show up, which they didn't. And I was knitting all day. I was a little sore by the evening.
Yes. So hard to make ourselves stop when we're focused.
Especially if you're at a spot, either you really want to finish something. Like this weekend, I really wanted to finish the last of the Sea Haven. I wanted it done so I could get it, you know, blocked and everything. And then while I was doing that, I'd already had in my head what I wanted to do next. So I was having that whole, what do you call it when you want to cast on everything? What is that term?
Castonitis?
Yeah.
Castonitis?
I was
Yes.
having that. I was like, I have to finish this. I have to finish this. I have to finish this. And I go to the neck, get to the last sleeve, and I was getting a little sore. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna finish. It's not a good idea, but I did.
I also find it happens to me when I'm trying to figure something out and I really want to like prevail over a certain section or a technique. And it's like, I don't want to let it go until I've got it.
Yeah. And then because I finished it, I wanted to get started on my next project. So that's the one I've been like knitting crazy on.
Okay, well, tell us what it is. We all
Okay.
want to know.
So it is, and I don't even know how to pronounce it. It came through on one of my many newsletters that I have. Here's the cover. This
In there.
little vest, and it has this twisted rib thing going on here. So there's a twisted rib on the back, which is a little bit longer, shorter front. And then there's a twisted rib that goes up the middle here, you know, up under the arm. And I'm not sure how the rest of it goes because even though I read it, I wasn't quite picturing it. But this is where I am. Oops.
Ooh.
Wait, let me put my stoppers in. My little
Oh,
Highland Coo.
Oh,
yes.
And a very good friend of mine who happens to be on with us gave me.
Aw. And what is the yarn weight for the vest?
This is the way worsted.
Mm, mhm.
This is the worsted. It's a tweed. I don't know if you can you see the twisted rib? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that turned out really cool. And it is, and I brought up, where did it go? Oh, here it is. It's
Okay.
American U yarn.
Hmm.
It's by CC Wool is the shop. This woman is doing it. She's up near Albany. Can't think of it's not she's not in Albany, but maybe Guilderland.
Hmm.
She has a shop where she has, this is a yarn that is all American produced. So all the animals are here in America. Everything is done here in America.
Awesome.
And it's just a really nice, has a really nice feel to it. I've made a few things with this yarn and I really liked it. So, yeah, so that's what I'm working on.
Cool. Love it. And I feel like we are in the era of the vest.
Yes.
Everything vests right now. All the vests in all the weights.
Yeah. And there's some really cool patterns out there too. Some really cool ones that I've been seeing.
And I feel like it's such a versatile wardrobe piece. I mean, sometimes having a vest on is just the thing to sort of like, I don't need a sweater, but I do need a little something more than a long sleeve t-shirt or whatever. And you can wear them in and out of the shoulder seasons. And yeah, big fan. I have only one vest, but I think I'm definitely going to be doing more.
What's nice too is you don't have to do a sleeve.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I also downloaded the pattern for Jen Shields Tolan's Riptide. I think a couple of others of you. Yeah. It looks so pretty, so good. But I'm trying to use up some stash yarn. Anybody else have some Sea Haven updates, project updates, yarn related updates, crafty things on your mind? Yeah, Jennifer.
Yeah, so my repeated cautionary tale for everyone is don't knit too late into the evening, because I keep making progress and then I have to rip it all down again. I didn't do the ribbing on mine. This is also the Tilly in that aqua color. And then I know that there are some mistakes, but it's so hard to see them in this. It's in this section where I was knitting way too late at night, and I decided I frogged some of it back, but I didn't go back and do everything. Some things I was able to pick up and redo. And then I'm moving along, and night before last, I was so proud of myself. I got like 3 or 4 rounds done when I probably should have been asleep. And then when I picked it up yesterday, it was all backwards.
Ooh.
I'm like, why is my working yarn on the left? So I went back stitch by stitch, and it was probably like 1.5 times around before I could pick up and keep going. But I want to share what I got my drop ship.
Ooh, you did. Yay.
I didn't get mystery. I ended up going with cloud tweed.
Oh my gosh.
This is the reveal because I didn't even take it out of the bag yet.
Ooh. Unboxing right here on the KAL. This is exciting. Oh.
It's like blues and greens and beige and brownish yumminess with like
beautiful
dark charcoal. It's going to knit up so great for that sweater. I'm really, it's going to be fun, and it'll be something I can do more quickly than some of these other things. And then as a glutton for punishment, talk about castonitis. I think I was born with it. It's just a very permanent state of being for me. I have I have already put together a moving box full of stash yarn that I know I'm never going to use, to make way for all this stuff that I want to do. Including, I just bought a pattern this morning from somebody that's going to be doing one of the talks. I don't usually do the talks, but I was reading about the one designer, a Japanese woman, and I looked up a bunch of patterns and favorited things, and then I bought a shawl pattern or a shrug pattern, and it's like 2 different laces. The top is like a very traditional looking lacy thing, and the bottom has like these wavy almost cables with a lot of drop stitches in it. It's just gorgeous. I can't remember what it's called, but I bought that. So now I need to get more mohair lacy stuff. And
Do you know what the name of the designer is?
Oh,
she's someone
let me-
that's speaking. It's in our newsletter.
I'm
me
gonna
see
look
if
it
I-
up right now. I can look it up.
I can find the pattern on my Ravelry too, because I just bought the pattern.
Was it
this morning.
Yumiko Alexander?
Yes. And the pattern that I bought is, oh, come on. Sorry. It's taking
That's
somebody
okay.
else
While
wants to-
you're looking, I'll say that Jennifer's yarn that she was showing telling the cloud tweed is for her party sweater, for the party sweater that I designed. And
Oh,
I know one other person who is making it in cloud tweed, Jennifer, and she's going for the like super bright pink pop. And so maybe when the 2 of you are finished, we could do like a cloud tweed party photo shoot.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are doing that sweater right now too. Like the buzz in the goat has been, oh, there's a whole group doing this or that. Aren't you doing it? And I'm like, no, I'm just doing it on my own. But I probably know half the other people that are doing it. The
Cute.
pattern is called Moonlight.
Moonlight. Okay. I'll write this down and make sure I link it in our notes under the YouTube video for us.
Yeah, it's it looks really pretty in like neutrals and whites, but the image on the pattern is in blue.
Oh, yeah. Let me just spotlight you. Keep holding it up there. Wow.
I'm pretty.
But that's so like the wave thing is one of the styles. The other is, I don't know if you can really see that. See the like the lacy lace, more traditional lace at the bottom.
Yeah.
So the garment is structured where it has, I think the lacy lace is like half, and then the waves are another half, and then I don't know if you kitchen or stitch it. I hope not, but you have to put the 2 panels together to make the garment. And I just fell in love with this, and I've done big lace projects before. It's weird because I'll screw up. It's not coming in. I will make big messes on like something super simple, but this I'll get it done faster than someone else, and it won't have mistakes. I think the lace lets me hyper focus.
And are you a fan of like the markers method? Like how do you keep yourself on track, or are you just like super focused right onto it?
I use lifelines, and I do use stitch markers. I'm using, do you see how many stitch markers I have? This is my sea haven.
I'm telling you, I was sitting next to somebody last weekend, and I said, listen, I don't mean to be pushy about the stitch markers, but like it seems like you're really maybe struggling with, those increase rounds. I said, in a group, there's no way that I could possibly keep track of where I was at and not spend all my time going like, wait a minute, how many did I do? Did I do the increase? I'm like, just throw a marker in there. And then you can.
I think I'm actually going to put a lifeline in. I have a teeny tiny bit of like leftover white yarn from another project sitting by my nest chair. And I'm going to use that to make a lifeline before I do the next increase row, just in case.
Mhm.
I haven't used a lifeline on this project at all, but for how many times I've wasted time, I'm going to do it tonight because I don't have the
Right.
time to waste. And I'm looking at, one reason why I'm leaving mistakes in this is I'm looking at this as my practice run because I can't wait to use the fleece to make my long sleeve version, which I will not tolerate mistakes in. So that's why I'm allowing myself the freedom to make mistakes in this, and I think it'll be fine. And it's a different fabric.
Totally.
Right.
Did anybody's yarn, I was talking to a knitter last weekend, did anybody's yarn kind of really show the German short rows as little holes? Because this knitter was feeling concerned about there being these, and she's using much more of a solid, it's a vintage, I think it's a vintage DK, but it's more of a solid yarn. And it just seemed like the holes were a little bit more visible on her short rows than some I'd seen. And did anybody else have that? Okay.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
I found that as I was putting my sleeves on, that I came across those stitches, where you do the kind of turnaround thing. And I'm like, wait, why does that look like that? What's wrong with that? Do I have to take it down? Do I have to go down and figure out how to fix that and replace that where it needs to be replaced? And I realized it was part of the short rows. So it was only because I was right there in front of my fabric, not that it stands out. Like if I just hold it up and I don't see them, I don't see that. But when I was trying, I was like, wait, why is that stitch look like that? What did I do? Completely forgot about the short rows until it's like, oh, maybe that's what that is. Yeah.
I mean, the wrap and turn, I feel like German short rows are definitely easier for sure, but wrap and turn as a short row, I think tends to have less visible, like those things are visible. It's just tighter, but it's a little more fussy. So
I also, when I was doing the band at the bottom with the garter stitch, and I looked at the tutorial for how to keep it from, the whole getting the line where it changes over. And I found that confusing. So I went looking elsewhere and I found something a little more simplified. And since for mine, and maybe because of the variegation of this, you don't see some of those mistakes. Like my stitch definition here with the Tilly isn't as noticeable, like Jennifer was saying, because I think because of the variegation that's there. So I don't know if that was part of it, but I found where they said knit one row, purl one row. When you get to the third row, you slip as if to knit with the yarn in front. And then you go and do your next row. And when you come back, you have it kind of goes a little bit at an angle, but it's really not noticeable. Because
will you send me that video link so I can pop it in?
Yeah. I found it was much more, it worked better for me. Let me just put it that way. It worked better for me. Because when I was looking at the video, there were like two different, there were like different things to do. And I was confused.
I love the fact that we have this option of multiple different ways there's just so many ways to do everything. It's one of the beautiful things about this craft, and also the fact that now we have access to a million zillion teachers on YouTube. We've all had the experience of a teacher that hasn't really clicked for us, I'm sure. And so if you're like, oh no, this person isn't for me, there's probably 20 other people out there who are maybe even doing the same thing, but just doing it a little bit differently. So I had a really cool experience this week with a customer, and she was working on a pattern that called for a tubular cast on. And I was like, oh God, don't ask me this question. But I was like, okay, listen, okay, I'll just be right up front with you. I'm not an expert at this. So, and she explained that this is a bottom-up sweater. All the videos she was seeing were sort of contradicting what the pattern actually said and what the designer was saying. And so I was like, oh, in my mind, like, oh God, great. So I said, okay, well, let's just first of all look at the pattern. And so I did a quick Google search for the designer's name and tubular cast on. And I came to this like single blog style page, and there was even a diagram of what to do, kind of hand drawn diagram, but fine. And all of a sudden, I think I've found a tubular cast on that doesn't make me go bananas and just run screaming the other direction. And I was like, thank God Alice came in, kind of freaked me out a little bit at first, but we persevered. And it was just, again, sometimes something is just presented in a way that clicks. And so in this method, you are using waste yarn, you cast on half the number of stitches, like typical. And then you, with the half number of stitches, you do stockinette stitch for like 3 rows. And then on a wrong side row, you're sort of like looking at the provisional edge where you've got that waste yarn, and you're purling you're purling your first one because you're wrong side row. Then you dip down with your needle to grab the first bump essentially with the real working yarn that you've been switching to. And that becomes a knit stitch you knit into the back loop. And I was like, whoa, I can get this. So I'm going to make a tutorial for the goat YouTube, because maybe there's other people like me that just I've just never been able to hold it in my mind, or
Right.
feel like it wasn't just so fussy, so floppy, these yarn overs. If you get like off track, then how do you get back on track? Yeah. So anyway, that was my big learning of the week, and I'm going to excitedly make a little video sometime.
Thanks.
In the meantime, I'll link to the little blog post. At least you could see it. What else? What else? Anybody else have Sea Haven updates, questions, musings, fiber things? Was that
I can
Teresa?
share. Yep.
Yeah.
So I am on the body now.
Yes.
Just kind of started earlier today on that.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
And I am also suffering from castonitis, even worse than usual. I went to the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival over the weekend. And I actually, for once, like made sure I didn't buy yarn for an upcoming project so that I could get some there. So I got some yarn, I say, for a shawl, actually for the Kate Davies Summer of Mystery Mystery Knit-along shawl. So I think the first clue for that comes out
Next
next
week,
week.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. And then I also am doing the Stephen West yarn along. So I've got that to cast on. So
That's big.
and I'm working on the body for this. So we'll see. We'll see.
Nice.
So nice. I mean,
I need
let's just
to
back it.
not
Okay.
totally give in to the more exciting knitting over the boring stockinette. I'll try.
Well, and also maybe the boring stockinette will have a place in like your
Right.
watching a show, and you don't have to pay attention because
Right.
yeah.
I can watch anything and knit anything, including shows in different languages that I'm reading the subtitles.
Wow.
I mean, and follow a
Wow.
Stephen West pattern. Geez, you're more talented than we even knew. Also, I just have to say, your Sea Haven is beautiful, and that's the monochrome, right?
Yep.
So we actually had a visit from the Earth Yarns rep this week at the shop, and she was this lovely gal who was over from Turkey. She came for the H&H show and kind of like made her way through some of her shops. And we got the sort of unsettling news that they might be discontinuing monochrome. And we were like, wait, what? We really love that. It's a cotton that people who don't like cotton like to use. Really? Why? What are you? But then I just got an update from Kristen. Again, Kristen was like, well, please make sure corporate knows that we love this yarn. It sells well for us. People really like the stitch definition, as we saw with your top. It's great. So like, let them know we're sad that they're taking this yarn away. And it sounds like maybe they might be able to continue to produce. I don't know. It sounded like maybe it wasn't the end of the story. Maybe they took the feedback and they're like, oh. So we'll keep you posted on that. It's definitely one of those ones that, I mean, it was great with the Ankers summer shirt. People liked it. So I think, yeah, we'll see. But I hope that they keep it up because we love talking it up to people and it's so beautifully.
And it's so hard to find nice cotton yarns, so be sad to lose it as someone who doesn't wear wool.
Totally. It's so beautifully round, which is, I think, one of the reasons why it looks so darn good on your sweater. But yes, we got to see and touch lots of potential new yarns for the shop, which was super
Lucky.
fun and I know, but also so overwhelming. Thank you for bringing your Maryland sheep and wool goodies to show us. Always
Yeah,
fun
all
to see.
the other goodies are felting. So I'm looking forward to those too.
Awesome.
I didn't have a limit on felting because I don't have a felting stash that I need to be ashamed of.
That's awesome. So yesterday there was a very, very special event at the Camden Public Library that a lot of our local goats attended, and it was an hour with Anna Zilborg, who is also known as the anarchist knitter. She has written many, many books of patterns, globally inspired designs. She's traveled the world. She's a scholar of knitting and knitting history. And she's 91 years old and she lives
God.
Yeah. So she lives in Rockland, which is just a couple towns south of us. And one of our knitters who we see fairly frequently like came in and she said, I'm trying to organize a talk that Anna will give at the library. Like, could you help spread the word? Because I just would hate for there to be a low turnout. I mean, she's such a like icon, like Elizabeth Zimmerman level icon of our craft and everything. And I was like, I think we can fill a room, not that hard. And sure enough, it was overflowing in the small space.
Great.
I'm like, it was so
That's
incredible.
great.
And she had a full table of some of her designs that she spoke about some of them. And it was very special. She just has such an amazing wealth of knowledge. And, you know, one of the things she talked about was, you know, we're so good at following patterns now. And of course, this craft originated with pre-literate people. And, you know, that there's of course value to knowing how to follow a pattern, to understanding that pattern language, which is, she was like, not at all standardized, as we all know. And that, you know, but knowing how to look at your knitting and understand what's really happening, which is definitely something that we talk all the time with knitters about, you know, is such an important skill as well. And, you know, just that idea, and she gave a few different examples of like how knitting and knitting techniques traveled among cultures. So what would happen when somebody would find some cool piece of knitwear, or let's say a sock from Turkey that somebody in Germany was like, look at this sock, like seems like it's from the toe up, what is this about? You know, how does it, what do? You have to take it apart to understand how it works. So such a cool way of thinking about it. Wow, her
Okay,
designs,
that's
really good. Yeah, she had a lot, several desigins that had embroidery
I'm on
on the knits,
just to let you know.
and just that this one in particular was a garment in red that had these beautiful, looked like maybe twisted stitch leaves, possibly brioche, couldn't really, I think twisted stitch actually. And she'd gone back in with a lighter colored red to just sort of enhance that shapeliness. It was incredible. It was really incredible. And it was cool to be there, you know, with such a excited and supportive community. So the Knitting for Anarchists, she said it was out of print. I don't know. There might be used editions out there. I know she said Dover, and originally when she published, it was self-published, and it was this little black book with Knitting for Anarchists in red, you know, kind of like the Communist Manifesto, she said. And then when Dover took it on, they like had this nice white cover, and actually somebody had brought their Dover edition, and it's this white cover with this like soft blue ball of yarn and like these wooden needles, you know, because they don't seem very threatening. And then it was like Knitting for Anarchists was very like sort of softer, but it's a great book really about just the way that we can all, you know, take hold of our craft in the way that, you know, people like Elizabeth Zimmerman encouraged us to do. So cool to see that.
I did my workshop with my colleague at our superintendent's day where we called it Stitch to De-stress. And so
Awesome.
one of those things where, you know, we said, bring anything that you do, that, you know, fiber arts, and, you know, come to Stitch. And if you don't know anything, we can get you started and whatever. So last year we did it and everybody wanted to learn crochet, and I don't read crochet. Like I can do basic stuff. And a couple of people were this time around were trying crochet, and they're like, this really doesn't work for me. And they're like, can you teach me to knit? Like, well, I can try. And so what I did is I had some yarn and I cast it on for them so they didn't have to do that, because I think that's really hard to get somebody started with. I'd rather have them kind of learn the knit stitch before they do the cast on, because that can get crazy. So anyway, I had 3 women and all 3 did pretty good. One of them, I couldn't believe how her tension was just so spot on for being a beginner. I said, take the yarn, take the needles. Here's some videos. If you have any questions, let me know. It worked out really nicely. And then one of the ladies that was there, she brought a pair of fingerless mitts that she loved that had been all torn up on the thing, and she was looking for them to get fixed. And I said to her, I said, well, I'm willing to try it if you are okay with whatever color yarn I have available and whatever I do. And she's like, okay, nope, no problem. I just don't want to throw them away. It's all right. So they're this bright pink with cabling on the side here. The thumbs had gotten wrecked a little bit, but there was this big gap of yarn, and I was trying to make the yarn work, but it had gotten kind of destroyed. So I ended up taking out like 4 or 5 rows and adding on a white. And then there was a hole in the thumb, so I made a little patch and sewed that in with a white. And then because the other one was fine at the top, I wasn't going to take that out. I just crocheted a little thing just to balance them out. And I was pretty proud of myself for coming up with a solution to something I had, you know, I had no idea. I was like, hey, that's pretty cool.
That's amazing. Yeah, that spirit of like, well, like what we were talking about with Shannon. I mean, you could try tucking it in or,
Right.
as a first step. And if you don't love it, that's okay. But at least you've tried and yeah, try it out, see what happens. I
Yeah,
love that with
quick.
with the repairing. Oh, look at
Right
that.
there.
Let me hold it still and I'll spotlight. Oh, cute.
And then this was the other.
Oh, nice.
So
Huh.
yeah, it was just kind of like looking how it was structured and how it needed to, because this is obviously this is the one that needed more help. Because this is what they
Mhm.
look like. I can show you what.
Oh, wow. Yep.
So that needed some serious help. So she's happy
Good
with it.
job.
And then she shared with me that her sister got her a beginner's knitting magazine. Like, yes,
So great.
something else.
Yes. We need more knitters in the world. Definitely. That was actually that tie it thinking about just sort of, the knitting to de-stress. One of the things Anna said was, most people are just not that good at meditation. Let's just be honest about it. A lot of us struggle, and knitting is not meditation. But what it helps us do is focus on something else, something, when we involve our hands. And so she said, if you want to achieve that state that's maybe a little like meditation, what you need to do is find yourself a pattern that gives you enough challenge so that you're adequately able to sort of focus on it and sort of just be in it, not that you have to look at every stitch, but that it's the right level of challenge to just sort of be like, yeah, I'm doing this, and start to feel the worries of the world recede a little bit maybe.
Sometimes I leave work and all I think about is what I can, how much I can get things done real fast so I can sit down and knit.
Definitely. One of the things that has been so cool, you've probably seen it maybe in a previous email, but we got these little tiny bullets of yarn that are called the teeny weeny wool, and they're from Knitting Fever, and they're like a sport weight, or maybe lighter sport. They come in this rainbow of colors, and we have them arrayed in this beautiful basket, but they're literally like a couple inches high. I think it's not, it's a, how many grams, I can't even think of it right now, but it's a tiny little ball and they're cute. And at first I was like, oh, that's adorable. You could like have a stocking stuffer filled with tiny little balls of yarn. But the great part is for the mending. I mean, because when people come in and they have like a small mending repair or whatever, and they're like, well, I've got this blanket that's really chewed up on the edge. I don't need a ton of it. And it's like so great to be able to say, well, for $2.50, come look at this rainbow of tiny little balls of yarn that come in a lot of colors. And it's so cool because usually there's a color that's pretty close to what they're looking for. But it's nice to see folks that are putting in the effort to mend things, because a lot of times it's not as fun as making the thing, but it's great to give the knitwear and the stuff we really use and love like a good life and extended its life.
My mom thought it was so awesome that you had those because she was up visiting her mom up there. And her mom was like, hey, can you repair this? I think it was a sweater. And my mom was like, I can try. And she went to the Cashmere Goat and they had that. She had no idea that you were carrying it. Well, she started telling me that story and you had recently had a newsletter about it. So I had guessed that she had bought that. But going in there, she did not know she was going to find that.
Yeah, I mean, and previous to this, I'd be like, well, we've got like sock yarn reinforcement, but not a huge range of colors. And again, it's like, do you really want to have to spend however many dollars on a giant ball of yarn that you're going to use some little small amount for? No. And the nice part about being sport weight is you could double it up for worsted or whatever. But yeah, I love it. Love it. That's a good story. Well, it is just the top of the hour. Can't believe another one has just flown by, but hopefully we're all on track. And congratulations on your finish, Sea Haven, Teresa. And we've got some people that are getting through their yolks. It's awesome. Don't forget, you can email me in between if you have questions that need more timely answers. But otherwise, I hope that you guys have a great week, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again next Wednesday.
Sounds good.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks so much.
Good to,
Bye.
good to see everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.